To the story now, the Road Accident Fund is on a warpath with over 100 law firms who refuse to repay duplicate payments received from the fund itself. The RAF has launched a formal complaint with the Legal Practice Council to try to resolve this. The RAF says the total amount owed is around 340 million rand. The dispute, beg your pardon, comes as the fund has been ordered to make payments on outstanding claims before the end of April. Meanwhile, the fund itself says it's also suspended payments to those who refuse to repay these duplicate payments. For more on all of this, let's bring in the CEO of the fund itself, Collins Letsoalo, who joins us now via our telephone line. And Dr. Letsoalo, great to chat to you. Thank you so much for making time for us here on the AM Report. So according to some reports that I've come across, at least one firm owes you a whopping 29.7 million rand that was erroneously double paid. Another firm, that figure is paced at around 25 million. These aren't small figures, so I have to ask as a start, how were these mistakes made to begin with?
Good morning and good morning to the viewers. Look, the issue was about these attachments that we have intermittently of our bank accounts. So in the process of the payment, where a payment flow would come, the lawyer will simply attach the bank account and take the money from there, whilst we are busy paying them on the other side. Because of the number of transactions that we have, we wouldn't have picked up that that person had already been paid by the sheriff. And the sheriff would pay and we would also pay. Consequently, we ended up with a double payment. What would normally happen is that most of the other law firms would actually pay back this money because it's paid into a trust account and they can see that it's a double payment. Some have decided to use this money for their own purposes.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. I just want to stick on how this actually took place. What you're explaining to me is not complex to understand. It boggles the mind why anybody wouldn't have predicted that something like that would happen, that it's an obvious loophole.
Well, reconciliations have always been a problem at Road Accident Fund. And when we started this work of the new model, we started reconciling some of this money. And when we reconciled the money, we actually went back to these law firms and said, well, you have been paid in duplicate. It looks like this issue of duplicate has been, we have seen duplicates that were paid in 2018. So we are going even back to 5 years back.
Yeah, again, how did the duplicates happen for so long? How often do you have this reconciliation process?
The reconciliation process was done not consistently. We must admit that. But in the usual sense, when you are dealing with law firms, which are officers of the court, you would imagine that when they receive money in their trust account, in management of their trust account, they would see that those monies have been paid in duplicate and they would actually return those money. This issue, this is why we went to the court in terms of Section 45A to suspend this court order. It becomes very, very difficult. We do thousands and thousands of transactions each and every month, and it's very difficult to reconcile given the manual nature of our system. But we have now put into place systems to make sure that we identify those duplicates and make people to pay them back.
Yeah, you're asking the Legal Practice Council to assist. My understanding is that you've asked them to intervene before in the past. Recently the plan was that the Legal Practice Council itself would appoint a curator who would administer funds to ensure that the money in the trust of these law firms is returned to the RAF. You'll set me straight if those facts aren't accurate, but what happened with that process?
The Legal Practice Council is a sort of a regulator for lawyers and in this for legal practitioners. So what we have done is report this matter to them, because in our view, simply put, if you can't pay back the money that we paid in duplicate, it simply means they've used this money. So when the money is in your trust account, you must use it for a purpose for which it was paid. In this instance, it would seem that these people then use the money for a purpose for which it was not paid, and therefore that's misappropriation of trust fund money. Yeah. And our view is that we can continue paying monies into trust accounts that we know have been mismanaged, and that's our approach. Our approach is that the Legal Practice Council must come in and make sure that they take over this trust account so that we can pay the other claimants that have used this lawyer to come and claim money from the Road Accident Fund.
Got you. Okay, so if this order is granted, it will allow the Legal Practitioners Council to appoint this curator who can administer to the funds and ensure that they get back into your coffers. I want to speak about the impact this is having on innocent claimants who might already have a relationship with the affected firms. If you are granted this order, does it mean that even those claimants won't be able to receive their funds until this matter is resolved?
No, it simply means we may not receive our money as the road accident fund. However, the claimant will then receive the money because as it is now, we have suspended payments to those accounts. We owe the duty to the claimant not to pay the money into a trust account that we know has been mismanaged because our money has not been paid back. But if your curator is then appointed, that trust account will be in the hands of someone who we can trust to actually take this money and pay to the claimant. What I see that if we then pay this money for other claimants, they are going to take this money and use it for whatever purpose. And for us, it's something that we owe the duty to the claimant not to do.
Yeah, but my question still stands. This essentially means that claimants won't be receiving any money, at least those that have their claims administered through these funds.